All right. Happy holidays, everybody. Today we are going to do Skating by Vince Guaraldi from the Charlie Brown Christmas soundtrack. This is just some of my favorite piano music, period. Not just holiday piano music. This stuff is awesome. And I wanted to talk about it partly because it's fun to play and partly because it's fun to take apart and understand a song like this, because at its core, it's not that complicated. And so I think there are opportunities for intermediate players to maybe start to engage with a song like this that you might not be able to figure out from just looking at the sheet music or trying to do it by ear. So I just want to take it apart and talk about it a little bit, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. So I'm just going to play through it sort of the way I approach this song, and then we'll talk through it. It just kind of goes around through those two sections. There's a vamp, and then there's an A section and a B section. I might have botched the rhythm on that B section there. I'm not totally sure from playing through it. I'm playing it slower than I usually do to try to make sure you can see what's happening. But anyways, the root of what's happening, we're going to start with the vamp. Is a C chord, an F chord, a G chord, and an F chord. Now, obviously, we're not doing this the way that, if you know like a really simple C chord, F chord, and G chord. That doesn't capture all of what's going on here, so you really do have to get into the exact voicings of these. I'm going to start with the left hand, which is going. There's like a more complicated version of that between the C, the F, and the G. So you're doing these really quick little bounce down from the G to the C, and then back up to the G. So it's like a 1-5. And then the F to the C, and then the G to the D. So each chord you're taking the first and the fifth, and you're doing those bounce moves in that pattern. And that just goes around under the vamp in the A section. Now, if you can't get that rhythm right and the one on the sheet music is even more complicated than that, and I'm not going to get into it. It's got an extra fifth sort of at the beginning of each measure that to me feels like overkill, but it's probably more accurate as to how Vince Guaraldi played it. If you find that daunting, take the first and the fifth and play them like that. So you got your C and G, F and C, G and D, and back down to F and C, just over and over again. And that's enough to that sounds like the song, even if you're not doing the complicated rhythm. Now, let's get into these right-hand voicings. So we have, again, simple chord voicings don't work. So you really need to get these voicings for precise to make it sound right. And so our C chord has both a ninth and the sixth. So it has A and D added to it. So we already have our C in the left hand. And then you take the A below middle C with your thumb. And then you're playing D, E, and G. And that's your C chord. So it's this lovely C chord. And then when you go to the F chord, all you do is you leave your A and your G in place and move the D and E down to C and D. And so this is actually an F chord that has the ninth and the sixth added to it. So your G is your ninth and your D is your sixth. And then you have your A and your C for your third and fifth. And then you take that whole shape and you just move it up a whole step for each note to get your G chord, because you're going from F to G. So you're doing G and D in your left hand, and then you have B, D, E, and A. So this is a G chord with the ninth and the sixth added. So the whole thing together, and then you come back down to the F chord. So those are the three chords at play. Is like this. I'm going to play it real slow. Those are so nice. And that's it. So the rhythm is, you do that over and over again as the intro to the song. It's really fun to play, even just that. If that's all you get out of this video, that's a really cool thing. And the when you roll into the A section, so we're going to call this the vamp, because it's just vamping. And then that is some decently fancy finger work. The left hand part's the same, so don't change that. Again, if you're overwhelmed trying to do that with the fancy finger work with the right hand, just take it to fifths. It still sounds great. And so this thing is just these little thirds patterns that start on G and B. So those two. So you have middle C right here, you go up a C, and then the G and B above that. So you're going G, B up to A, C, and back down, and then you move that shape down to F, A, up to G and B, and then you move the shape down. And it's all just white keys because we're in C major. And then you land on A and C, and then you pop out to this C chord, E, G, C. And that's the way it's written in the sheet music, is each one of those is going up as a pair. And the way I end up playing it, because my fingers aren't fast enough to do that at speed, I take the top note, the B, up to C and back down, and then you slide down, so you have F and F and A, and then you take the A up to B, and then you take it down, so you have E and G, and you take the G up to A, and just do it like that. And if you listen to doing it that way, it sounds pretty darn convincing, even if you don't have that exactly precise move. So it'd be and that's it. So you don't have to, at least the way I play it, you don't have to take the bottom note up with the top note. And so once you've got that down, it's not too hard. It's going to take some practice to get it in the first instance. I'm going to play it kind of slow so I can walk you through the chords that come right after. And then you go to B, and then you hit this C chord, and then it's this E flat chord, and then a G flat chord, and then an A major chord. So the C chord's right there, and then your E flat chord is E flat, G, and B flat. Optionally add the 7th to all of these chords, so you can add a D natural to that chord, which is what I usually do. So, and then this G flat chord, which is G flat, B flat, and D flat. And if you want to add the major 7th, add the F, and then up to A, C sharp, and E. And the voicings aren't super duper fussy on those. I play them like this. One more time so you can see it. Now let's walk through that whole sequence one more time. And if you note that the left hand moves on, so you get sort of one movement of the lower note. So it's like every other one. And that's it. That goes around a couple times. And then it goes around 4 times total. And then that brings us to our B section. So that is an F minor, and so I'm blocking out an F and a C with my left hand, and this playing sort of like a straight up F minor chord, F, A flat, and C, and then you pop the A flat and the C up to B flat and D, and then you're going up to this sort of B flat chord, but it's kind of like it's like a sus chord. So you're doing B flat, and instead of the D for the B flat chord, you're playing an E flat and then an F. So those together is the F minor, the B flat sus, and then you land on E flat. So we have our G, B flat, and E flat there. And I like to arpeggiate this down, and then that E flat goes minor. And I'm doing it with the 7th right here, so you can block out the E flat and the B flat with your left hand, and then you have your G flat, and then your D flats for your 7th, and then you roll those up to the A flat and E flat. So, and then you're doing an A flat sus chord. So you have your A flat, C, and then an I guess let's see. And just A flat and an F right there, down to E flat, and then you land on this D flat major chord, so F, A flat, and D flat, and then it turns around on a G major chord to get back into the skating riff. Those are all the pieces of the song. So you have your vamp, your A section, and your B section, which is the F minor thing. And what's cool, the way I would probably structure this is you start with the vamp, play your A section 4 times, and then you do, after the 4th time, you go to your B section. When you're done with that, come back to the A section 4 more times. So you do that 4 times, and then come back to the riff, the vamp. You do that probably 4 times, and after the 4th time, you can take a little solo. great thing is we're in C major, and so the best way to think about this is using probably an A minor pentatonic scale as your bass. A, C, D, E, G, and A. And if you stick to those, you really can't go wrong. But you can also reach out, to the other white keys. You can use those chromatic runs. It can be useful. And then there's a really nice spread you can hit on this, which would be with the G, the C, the D, and the G. So it'd be like... and then just pop back to it and end it. Something like that. You can come up with your own arrangement because I think a song like this, there's a lot of room for interpretation to some degree. Not in voicing the vamp, but once you understand the chords that are happening, there's some room, and you can structure it again with that, like A, vamp, A, B, A, vamp, solo, vamp, finish. I think is a really nice structure for playing this song as a solo piano player. And I think that's about all I have to say on that one. I hope you learned a fair amount from that one. That is, again, one of my favorite tunes to play any time of year, but especially this time of year. And shoot me a message, shoot me a comment, let me know what you think. I'm sure I probably botched some stuff. I don't play that song super precisely, but I do think that there are ways to come at songs like this that may allow you to access it when you might not have thought that you could before. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you all at the next lesson.